Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today, yes, it's back to the engine. Troublesome, I know, troublesome, but then, where do we go? So, the fuel system looks to be good. I think we have the right pressure, the pumps seem to be working the way they should. So, where we now have to look is towards the cold starter valve, which really in essence is a fifth injector. When you look at it, it should do what very much the injectors do. So it's a part of the system that really stops the car from flooding when you're trying to start it. So there's a fine amount of time that it should open and then close based on a secondary piece which is called the thermo switch, which is a part of the cooling system. And ideally the switch will provide the cold starter valve the intelligence to fire, providing that extra fuel into the airflow mixture through the inlet manifold into the cylinder head to get that first start going before the injectors fire in and take charge. So I'm going to focus there today. I'm going to look at that. I'm going to do a couple of tests to see if it's the issue, if it's the thermo switch issue. Fingers crossed. Let's see if I can go and find the reason why it doesn't start by itself. Starting off at the back, we have the first in-tank fuel pump, and as you follow the pipe around, mine has a bizarrely some sort of connector there which shouldn't be present, but I'm sure there's been slight changes over its 36 years. And then we're on to the second fuel pump, which you see here, and this looks to be yeah, I would say over a decade old or so, but anyway, we'll crack on. You can see the electrical connectors here for the pump. I did replace these grommets or bungs and bushes about 2 years ago, so again they look slightly newer than the rest. You can see here on my fuel pump we've got sort of this additional cap here. I'm not 100% sure, so maybe any of you watching, if you've seen something like that, might let me know what that is, because any of the manuals and stuff that I've seen don't show this part, so I'm not sure what that is. But as you can see, the fuel pipe comes out of the side here and then follows up, and you can see the type of connector here. This is like press connectors of the pipes, which these are the sort of fittings that came from factory. So God, I can't imagine it's that old, but hey, you never know. So yeah, that's the second fuel pump. Remember, that's the first one there with the electrical connectors in tank. Follow this pipe now up through this fitting here and up here just past the drive shaft, and here you will see on top, this is the accumulator system, or the accumulator unit I should say, and that's where pressures are sorted to make sure that the engine is fed in a correct manner. So yeah, I mean, this one, yeah, could be old as well. These units can be very, very costly. Okay, so after it leaves the accumulator, the pipe continues along and above the transmission and gearbox. as you can see, right up underneath. And then as you come to move across to the passenger side, you pick up the pipes there, which then flow down underneath the floor. And let's pick it up at the front of the car next. At the front you can see the fuel pipes coming down under the floor pan, up here just by the near side bracket for the lower control arm, or wishbone as they say, and you follow the pipes up just past the engine mount there, and they will now join the fuel filter. So let's get up on top of the engine now. So there you can see the pipe here that's just come up over the engine mount there and in to the bottom of the fuel filter, as you can see here, and then that pipe follows round into the fuel distributor unit, and this is where it all gets a little bit fun. And you have the airflow unit which is attached to the fuel unit, or the fuel distributor unit, and this all should work in harmony, as they say. There's a plate underneath this rubber housing within this metal unit, which lifts depending on the requirement of fuel required by the engine, under acceleration or start and so on. What's interesting though is that what you'll see is the fuel lines. So there's 4 on the top here which go off to the injectors, which are there situated in the cylinders. But you do have another, a 5th and a 6th that come one into, if you just see that there, into the cold start valve, which is the problem that I think I have, as in I don't think that valve is working. And then you have a further 2 pipes here on the end that run down to that unit there. You can just see this one here, which is your warm-up regulator unit. So what should ultimately happen on start, or certainly on cold start, is that you turn the key and this injector in here squirts for about 10 seconds or so fuel into the air manifold, which goes through to the cylinders to give the engine that first start. However, that only works based on, and you might see a pipe just down there, that pipe is connected to a thermo switch, which basically based on the hot or the cold temperature of the coolant will pass a signal to this cold start valve telling it whether or not it needs to fire. And when you have a cold start and the coolant isn't warm, that's when this comes into play. And if it doesn't, that's that can cause your engine not to start. So that's the issue I have. And just to confirm that, because I've had the engine running just for a moment or two, I'll show you now. Keys on the ignition, give it a start. So it was just cooling down, but you can see that the engine starts by itself. I think it could be a mixture of the fuel pump and potentially this cold start valve. So now that we've gone through that, I am going to change the fuel pump. That's a job I'm going to do, and we'll go step by step and see if that makes any difference. does seem to be oil leaking from that bolt, as you can see. Everything else looks okay. Okay, so we've got the engine running, but as you can see, I'm having to play with the airflow meter, and there's a plate in there which raises up and down based on the cold starter valve doing what it should be doing. And if I slightly raise that plate on turnover, then that fires the injectors, so the car starts. So that is good. It does what it should do there, but the initial start is not happening. And you saw from the test that I'm getting power to the cold start valve, which would suggest that the thermo switch is doing what it should be doing. Don't know, I mean, there should be really a couple of tests that I can do there, but it's wedged right down behind the back of the engine, so you can get to it. It's a bit of a pig to get to, but I'm sort of playing it now that maybe the cold starter valve is not working the way it should, which potentially means a new one to go and find. And then I think, just from how the engine is idling and how it's sounding, there is a potential that the warm-up regulator could do with a bit of a cleanup, maybe even a refurbishment. We'll have to have a look a bit deeper into that. So for this video, I'm just keeping it really on that cold starter valve, getting it running. You can hear it, you can see how the engine is idling, some of the things that I have to do just to keep it going in the way that it should. I think really now it's to start disassembling those pieces at the back, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. But anyway, more engine work, more fuel work, and that's something I'll be tackling in the next week or so. Thanks for watching.